Cool. Well, the next show we have is Natsume Yuujinchou Go, or Book of Friends 5.
Yes.
What power of friendship is
This.
that?
God.
Well,
Did it ever leave?
this is by far. I mean, you were talking before about a very relaxed, kind of chill anime that you can kind of watch and not have to like put yourself into a lot or worry necessarily about death, kind of thing. This is the 5th installment to this series. And you always say by it, it's got 5 in it for as far as how many series it's gone through. It's doing something right. And it's very much.
So is this like the 5th season?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Just to clarify.
Oh yeah, and it's very much a very lighthearted kind of an anime. Not doesn't take itself very seriously. And you get the story of Natsume, who can see basically spirits. They call spirits, monsters, kind of thing. He's been able to do it since he was a kid, and he's had a very rough life because of it. And throughout the entire series, you've seen a lot of that, and because they do like a lot of flashbacks to a lot of that. And now, well, from the very beginning, he's always had what has been the Book of Friends, which is something he got from, kind of passed down to him from his grandmother, which is a book of names. And it's the names of each of the spirits that his grandmother fought. And when she did, she had them write their names in the book. I'm hoping eventually you'll get to a point where you kind of get what was her rationale behind it. Because basically, whoever has, I don't know if she did it maliciously on purpose, but whoever has the book of the names controls those spirits. Whatever they want to do, they have to call them, and they'll have complete control over them. And so it's kind of his life about how he goes from there, and he wants to return the names to each of the spirits. So, there are definitely some episodes where there's some tense moments because people will be trying to get the book from him. And then there are definitely like lighthearted moments where you see his adventure in trying to return the names to whichever spirit happens to come by, or, this, that, and the other thing. And because he can actually see these spirits, there are definitely episodes where he just helps them, and it has nothing to do with the book at all. So again, it's a very lighthearted anime, and I like where they're at and where they're going with it. Because again, it's you're taking the story of Natsume and his day-to-day life, which in some instances is very laid back and nothing going on, and in some instances it could be really intense. He'll go to a party with a bunch of exorcists, and stuff just goes off, and he has to kind of help things out and stuff like that. And then there are just times where he has friends who have issues with spirits, and he just helps them, and it's very laid back kind of thing. So it's got its ups and downs, but it's very much as far as like tense moments. But overall, it's a great anime, and I just hope we can figure out more of the actual like backstory and whatnot, because they tease a lot about that stuff, and see how things go. But yeah, it's great.
Nice.
So,
Sounds very interesting, because it seems like it's one of those reflects kind of like your life. Sometimes you have good days, sometimes you have bad days, exciting days, and normal days. So
Oh yeah.
but they just add that extra, with the spirits and the exorcism and stuff like that. It sounds really cool.
That sounds pretty cool.
So, yeah, I've been saying this show sounds pretty cool for like 2 years now.
Come on.
And it's like every time a new show comes out, Shade like watches it through, and like it gives like the explanation of the story. So I know the story like top to bottom. Well, no, the premise top to bottom, and I kept for 3 seasons now of this show. I've been like, you know what? I'm gonna check that out one day, and I actually finally did.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
Hey.
So, cause I got tired of saying I'm gonna check that out. It's 5 seasons. I've said that 3 times.
To be fair,
so
dude, your list is ridiculous of how backlog you are. Like, there's no way you will ever complete that list. You know that.
Yeah, not with you watching Keijo over and over and over again.
Look, guys, it's just the 10 times. That's it.
The fights are really good.
So, I actually just jumped into the first episode of the 5th season just to see if I needed to have some backstory, and I really, really liked the show. Like the way the first episode goes is like they gave a little bit of backstory. They're like, "Oh, I can't remember his name
because it's been a little bit since the last one, so
yeah." And they're like, "Yeah, my grandmother, she has got all these names in this book, and sometimes the spirits like come after them because they want their name back and stuff like that." And in the first episode, there was this really, really creepy vase. And that kind of sounds weird, but like the vase had a person inside of it. And like for most of the episode, it was just like an arm hanging out of the vase.
Oh,
and
weird.
like the way that it traveled was like it would have flipped like end over end. And like you would think to be efficient, you'd like turn on your side and roll like a log. But no, it wanted to be like creepy and it's like ka-dunk, ka-dunk.
And the vase never broke?
Nope.
No.
That's like the strongest vase you've ever seen.
Yeah.
It's child friendly.
Right.
Well, it's like these creepy things always happen to him. He always sees like this really creepy, messed up things or these big, scary looking creatures or whatever. And he's the only one who can, or one of the only ones, I guess. And so it's always interesting when you get these moments where he sees these things like that, and he's like, "Oh!" because it's so startled moments where you like. You don't expect to see something like that. You're just like, what the hell? But no one else can see that. So he looks really weird. And you can imagine like a little kid seeing these kinds of things. It's got to be like completely messed up, but still.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And I guess the reason why the vase was chasing him was because of something that his grandmother did. I think in a lot of the situations, like basically anything he encounters is because of what his grandmother did.
Well, see, the thing is that people like spirits don't have a concept of time. They're very much because like they're eternal. They have no concept of time.
Why should they?
So why should they? So because I mean that's a very human concept, anyways. Time, and so a lot of times they go by like scent, not necessarily by looks, more or less.
Mm-hmm.
And so they smell like they're like, okay, you're part of that. You're that person. But they don't have a concept of, wait, you're not even female, you're a guy.
Mm.
It's just like, oh, that's you. And so they'll immediately latch onto that. And it's been so many times where he's had to explain, I am not a woman or something like that. And you're like, oh, okay. You know, it's just, yeah, it's crazy about that. But it's kind of get that. But he kind of, because of his grandmother and because she was very much a delinquent, because of the fact that she could see these spirits as well, is the reason why he has a lot of these issues. But he still, it's the only person in his family who he has any sort of connection with. So even though he kind of has to put up with some things because of it, he very much still feels, endearing to her. Even though he never met her, and it just, that's his only real connection, which is kind of sad in its own way, but it's kind of also kind of, one of those awe moments, kind of, because it's, it's very much the way he is.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, with this first episode, I didn't really know how to feel about the grandmother. Like, I'm glad that you said that she was kind of a delinquent, because that kind of explains how she was kind of a jerk in like parts of the episode where I'm like, she's causing all this trouble, and every time he goes out to the forest, they're like, "Oh, it was you!" And they like chase him and crap, and I'm like, "Oh my god!" But then later on in the episode, she like tries to do something good, but then people kind of treat her weird. They're like, no, just keep it. And I'm like,
yeah,
and then
it's
she kind of has like, no. Well, she's like, well, what am I gonna do with this thing? And I kind of see how sometimes she gets trapped into situations, and the reason why she's kind of rebellious is because it's just kind of a relief, is a release, because it's like everybody's certain people are treating her like crap, and she's like, you know what? Well, since everybody thinks I'm crap, I'm gonna do something crappy. So
yeah, exactly, and it's very much and the cat character, which this has a cat character as well. I'm sure you can see it in the picture. He's really cool. I will say that there's definitely a good partnership between the two of them, and I'm sure if you watch more of their Big D, you'll like the characters between the two of them. But even he's pointed out that even though both the grandmother and him have the same ability and everything, he reacts differently in situations than she would.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he takes it not nearly the same way, and he actually strives to improve it, whereas she would just accept it.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what it was. Even when she tried to do something good. And there were so many occasions she really honestly tried to do something good. And because of her ability and because of the spirits around her, it would always end up backfiring in some way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm.
And she just became known as just, oh, she's just weird, just stay away from her. And there was a stigma put against her. So it's very sad in a lot of ways. But I mean, it's intriguing in its own way too, and you want to know about more. I mean, I want to know how even like someone who is that way, how did they end up siring more kids? Because I mean, you could see she was a loner for all the way into like almost like her high school, college years kind of thing. No one would even come near her because they were all too afraid.
Okay.
So
It's a really good story.
Oh yeah.
So
if you want, I would say if you want something that is really story driven, and I that's one thing I absolutely love a lot of times about animes is a lot of story driven. This is it. This will really be it.
Yeah, even watching like the first episode of the 5th series, you would think you would be lost, but they handled the story so well to where you're like, I understand everything that's going on now, and now I kind of want to just go back and watch 4 seasons of stuff because I'm very, very interested in what's happening. So
Oh yeah, definitely.
I'd say animation wise, it's very, very good because it's done by Studio Shuka, which is the people who did Do Ra Ra Ra. So yeah, so animation is gonna be gorgeous, and story-wise, Studio Shuka can handle super complicated stories, even though this one isn't complicated, so you don't really have to worry about. I think it has some
complexity to it.
Okay. I
mean, cool. It's got a bit of complexity because there's a lot of unknowns and a lot of things they've been skirting for a long while. So I'm curious to see how far that will go.
So you don't think at season 5 they're like about to wrap it up? It's just
I don't know. I mean, in all honesty, they still keep hinting at things. They keep kind of like teasing you, going, "Oh, here you go. Here's a little something." But they're like, you never really fully explain things. You keep seeing more about his past, and I think there is some important things in Natsume's past that they're not like coming out with all right away. So I'm really curious to see how far it will go.
Okay. So yeah, I recommend the show.
Oh yeah,
Shay loves it, and now I do too.
My bad.
All right. So since you played Monster Hunter, would you recommend watching the anime? Does it like, even though you only seen one episode, does it like tell any of the story, or does it remind you of anything? Or
I would watch the show if you have a kid and you just want to watch something with them and be like, oh yeah, we can watch animes together. But that's about it. If you're an adult and you have things to do and your time is precious, nah.
And just like everything to deal with like the supernatural, it's just really fun and it was done really well. And aside from the fact that the main characters talked a little too fast, they were still kind of fun, and all this material and the storyline that has potential around it seemed really, really good.